Hi, I just wanted to take a few minutes to make sure that we all understand the idea of a remote desktop. The idea of a remote desktop is that users can log into a system that runs a program that essentially provides access to another system. What shows up in the window looks like the desktop that we have on our PC, and we can treat the remote desktop just like we would treat the desktop on our local PC. We can use applications that have been installed on it, such as Microsoft Office apps and web browsers. We can usually install applications, and we can store files on the remote desktop. The window looks like this. The content of this window, my remote desktop, is hosted on a remote server. It's like I'm looking at two computers at once. My local PC and my remote desktop. Here's a schematic of the remote desktop architecture. In essence, when you think of a personal computer or a PC, you usually just think of it as hosting one user session at a time. One person uses one PC. A remote desktop environment is different. A server is hosting many different sessions at once, one for each remote user. There are several advantages to this configuration. An administrator can set up the remote desktop so that every user sees the same thing regardless of what platform the user is running. The window on their PC or Mac simply shows them what is going on at the remote server. So by using a remote desktop, it is easy for a Mac to show a Microsoft Windows environment. If individual users have been given the permissions to make changes, then each user can change the desktop by adding applications to it or storing files. They can basically treat their session as a PC. But in the end, the administrator controls the remote desktop and can make changes if they need to. This is a perfect setup for our online classes. Each of us is almost surely using a different personal computing environment, but we can all access a remote desktop that will look the same and have the same capabilities and presentation. The only differences between our environments will occur because we add applications or save files to the environment or change various preferences. If we are on a university computer that is connected to the University Wide Area Network, or WAN, we are fine, or at least as close to fine as we can get. However, if we are accessing the remote desktop server from our personal PC, we do not want to use the public internet. The public internet is relatively unsecured. So we are going to use a virtual private network, a VPN, that the university has set up to make a secure connection to the university system. That's the first thing we do in our setting up for SQL instructions. You will need to make a request to be set up as a VPN user. To do this, just go to the website that I provide you with. This is the website as of the fall of 2017. You'll come to this website, you'll click on VPN request form, and you'll enter all the things that you need to enter. Once we have the VPN set up, we can connect to the remote desktop through the VPN. Connecting to the remote desktop through the VPN is the second thing we do in our setting up for SQL instructions. Finally, once you can access the remote desktop, you will want to install the application called Oracle SQL Developer. This will let us access the Oracle databases we will use in class and manipulate the databases using SQL. Installing SQL Developer and getting it going is the third thing we do in our setting up for SQL instructions. So, to review, we're going to assume that you want to use your personal PC to access the university remote desktop system so that you can do the work in the class. The first thing we're going to do is to establish the VPN connection for your PC. That is task 1 in your setting up for SQL instructions. The second thing we will do is use the VPN connection to connect to the remote desktop. That is task 2 in your setting up for SQL instructions. The final task, task 3, is to set up your remote desktop to run SQL Developer and make a connection to the database we are using for the class. One last slide here, folks. This is what the SQL Developer application looks like when you get it running. You'll see more of this in the setting up for SQL instruction packet that I give you, as well as in later videos, but I just wanted you to have a quick look at it so that you know it when you see it. Thanks for watching.